Hey, what's everybody? What's up, everybody? I'm here with Kirk Sarloos, TCU head baseball coach. The Horned Frogs coming off an awesome weekend. Head to the Amegy Bank College Baseball Series at Globe Life Field this weekend. Los and the Frogs will face Michigan, who had a great weekend in Puerto Rico. Arkansas, certainly that'll be a marquee matchup with a huge crowd on Saturday night. And they finish off with old or current Big 12 foe, Kansas State. I guess, Los, just kind of looking back at opening weekend as a coach, you go back to the fall and there's a lot of things you want to work on. Then you get to opening weekend. And, for some coaches, there's like big surprises. For some coaches, you find things you feel like you need to work on a little bit more than others. I guess for you, I mean, what was kind of the big surprise for you opening weekend? And what was the one thing that kind of going into this weekend at Globe Life that you're like, hey, we need to get a lot better at this?
Well, I think we didn't play any fall outside competition in the fall.
Yeah.
We inter squatted a ton. I think one of our leading hitter in terms of at bats in the fall had like 90 at bats. So we played a
Yeah.
ton of baseball, but we played it against ourselves. So you didn't really have a barometer of who we were going to be yet. So opening weekend for me was I was excited just to be able to play somebody else and see our guys compete. We had a lot of new faces. I think we threw like 7 freshman arms.
Yeah.
Pretty much every guy on in terms of our position players played. So we learned a lot about our club. Over a 4-game stretch, Friday through Monday, against a really good San Diego team. So the thing that we probably need to get better at, we'll catch the ball better. We made too many errors, and we struck out a little bit too much. But that's to be expected, I think, a little bit when you're kind of opening weekend. We face some really quality arms from San Diego, and so yeah, no, I think we'll get better at maybe not striking out quite as much, but we did hit 11 home runs, so we'll play better defense. As this season gets going.
Yeah, for sure. I guess kind of looking back at the weekend a little bit, Carson Bowen's a guy that you and I have talked about repeatedly, and obviously going into the spring, you guys felt pretty good about his health, but 500 over the weekend, home run, 4 RBIs was a little bit more kind of vintage Carson Bowen a little bit for him.
Yeah, and he was your number one pick in your little pool there where you guys have your
I
salary
was.
cap. So he was on your team. I made sure that he had a good
I
weekend
was
for you, but
buying that. Well, I appreciate that. I was buying a lot of stock in Carson Bowen.
yeah, and the good thing too was that he had a lot of balls hard at people last year,
Hmm.
and 2 of his hits this last weekend were blistered up,
Yeah.
to center field. One got where the center fielder kind of didn't quite land the catch, ran into the fence inside the park home run, and he had another ball that beat the center fielder again for a triple. Some of those unlucky breaks last year, turned into a little bit of luck this year in terms of, I mean, I think he averaged over 100 miles an hour exit velocity
Wow.
on the week. So, I mean, when you're hitting the ball hard, it seems like you find a little bit of luck the
Yeah.
harder you hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good to see him getting off to a hot start. And the other guy that kind of stood out, of course, it's kind of interesting when you look at Noah Franco, a talented
Yep.
freshman. He hits a couple of home runs, but he also he struck out 7 times over the weekend. So it's one of those things that's kind of feast or famine. But I mean, we got kind of a glimpse of what Noah Franco can do. What did you kind of see from him?
Well, I think everyone saw the 450-foot homer where it was
Yeah.
like you know one of the furthest balls you've seen hit. And he hit another one that same inning. But
Yeah.
from that point forward, he took a lot of really mature at bats after that. They
Mhm.
kind of pitched around him a little bit. Like he had most of his strikeouts the first 2 days, and then he hit the long home run, I think, on Sunday, and then had a bunch of mature at bats after that. Took his
Mhm.
walks, hit the ball the other way. So, the one thing that we haven't seen yet is him on the mound. And so, he threw a bullpen yesterday, and I'm super excited for our fans and for college baseball in general to be able to see him throw too, because he can hold his own on the mound, and it was fun to be able to see him and Snyder and all of our freshman arms get out there and have some success. It was really fun.
Yeah, and I guess lastly on the offense, I mean, Coach Bruce did a really nice job for you guys, but you get Coach Bill Mosiello back in Cowtown, and I mean, 11 home runs in the first 4 games. I guess just Coach Mo's impact. It seems like it just feels right when Coach Mo's coaching that TCU offense a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. It's really nice to have him in the third base box and in the dugout.
Hmm.
He brings a steady, calming influence in terms of his offense, approach, and it's tried and tested, and it's been working for a really really long time, and he's just a savant of the game of baseball, and it's nice to have him back in our dugout, and I know our fans and our community here are fired up to have the Mosiellos back here. I think last year he wasn't here, but we had Andrew Mosiello, so we still had a Mosiello in the program, and so having him back extends it, I think, to maybe 10 or 11 straight years now with a Mosiello in the TCU dugout. So super fired up to have him back.
Yeah, we don't, and there's no other Mosiello down the path, is there? That we know
Well,
of?
they no because because Helton, his coach Mo's youngest, is actually a really really good left-handed golfer. So he went in a different direction, which I don't blame him. Golf's shoot, I
TCU
like golf
golf?
more than baseball most days anyway. Anyhow,
Is he gonna be TCU golf?
what's that?
Is he gonna be TCU golf?
I don't think so. I think he'll go somewhere else, but he's definitely really really good.
Yeah, that's a really good baseball family. I guess kind of turning our attention to your forte, the pitching staff. Obviously, had very rotten news earlier in the week last week with Ben Belt going down for the season. But boy, you couldn't have been happier with the way your starting rotation stepped up, especially Tommy Laporte, a guy that I remember in the fall you were really excited to see him in the spring because the arm was obviously very live.
Yeah, I think kind of getting that rotten news. Shoot, Thursday morning on the way to the airport. Actually, he just got done out of surgery today, so he's on his way back. But no, I think I was excited about the depth that we had, and it was fun to kind of see those guys run out there. And I love even without Ben, I love our pitching staff, and it brings a lot of different versatilities to it. But it always starts and ends with starting pitching, and I think all three of our starters got into the fifth. And Tommy, like you said, got into the sixth. Shoot, he had 39 pitches through 4 innings. So, he filled up the strike zone and did a great job. And we'll see how those guys can continue to progress throughout the year.
Yeah, I guess kind of looking ahead to this weekend, obviously there'll be a lot of TCU fans in the house, but in particular, you talk about not playing outside competition in the fall. But, you go out to San Diego, it's going to be a little different feeling in the stands. Are you kind of looking forward to seeing how some of these? You mentioned all the freshman arms. Are you kind of looking forward to seeing how some of these arms, play in front of what should probably be a pretty large Arkansas crowd
Yeah,
on Saturday night?
yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think every kind of experience you can give these young guys, it reminds me a lot of that. Maybe it was the 16 team I think we had that
Yeah.
we had a ton of freshmen and played at College Station and won a super regional there.
Mhm.
And I think a part of it is, just throwing them off into the deep end from the get go and watching them learn how to swim and navigate, some calm waters and some distress and some trouble. And we'll definitely have that throughout the year. But I think the more that we can get those guys in those situations, the better they're going to be in the long run as the season unfolds.
Yeah, and I guess lastly, kind of just personally speaking, like who is kind of the one guy through the first 4 games that has surprised you the most that you kind of been wow, like I didn't see that coming the first weekend of the season.
That's a good question. Nobody really surprised me. The guy that we
Hmm.
kind of turned the ball to late in games was a guy that people maybe outside the organization maybe didn't think was going to kind of get that role or be in those situations. Was Cade Udy, a freshman from right here in Texas, but he's handled those situations. He came in I think Saturday in the ninth inning, and he came in Monday in the ninth inning and threw 3 pitches, got 2 outs, and got the saves. Nobody really surprised me, but I think I was pretty proud of how all those new players handled situations and were in their routine and just kind of took it as business as usual and did a really good job with it.
Awesome, coach. Well, we appreciate your time. Again, the Frogs play Michigan, Arkansas, and Kansas State this weekend. For now, the Frogs are undefeated. We'll see if that continues. Good luck, coach.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Kendall.
Thanks.